Imagine it's 25,000 years ago. You're lying on frozen ground, wrapped in hide, and the fire beside you has burned down to embers. Somewhere in the dark, something is moving through the grass, and you can't see it, can't smell it the way it can smell you. All you have is your hearing, and the wind is too loud to trust. Every predator on this landscape is faster, stronger, and better built to kill in the dark than you'll ever be. Your only option is to stay still and hope it passes. That was every night of your ancestors' lives. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans weren't the smartest thing in the dark, just the ones with the best imagination for how they could die. So how did a hairless, slow, half-blind species not just survive that world, but eventually dominate it? The answer starts with the one animal that should have been eating them, rewind to the last ice age, somewhere between 20,000 and 40,000 years ago. Open steppe and tundra, locked in cold, crawling with animals built for it. Mammoths, cave lions, giant hyenas, wolf packs that could take down prey 10 times their size. Humans had none of their advantages. No claws, no thick fur, no speed. What they had was fire, crude tools, and each other. And on this landscape, that wasn't enough to sit at the top of the food chain. They were competing for it, hunting the same herds the wolves hunted, scavenging the same kills. Here's the danger few documentaries mention. Humans and wolves likely wanted the exact same thing. Both were pack hunters tracking the same migrating herds across the same frozen ground. Direct competition for calories in a place where losing meant starving. Nights made it worse. Wolves could hear a hoofbeat hundreds of yards off and smell a predator coming minutes before it arrived. Humans could do neither. A sleeping camp was defenseless the moment the fire burned low. And the obvious response, treating every wolf as the enemy, didn't work. You can't outhunt a wolf pack, and you can't outrun one. Fighting the most efficient predator on the steppe every time you crossed paths was a losing strategy, generation after generation. The relationship itself had to change. The shift didn't start with a decision. It started with garbage. Human camps left behind bone scraps and carcass fat, an easy meal for any wolf willing to get close to a fire to take it. The wolves that survived best weren't the boldest. They were the calmest, the ones with just enough tolerance for humans to scavenge nearby without triggering a fight or flight response. Genetic studies placed the divergence of dogs from wolves somewhere between 20,000 and 40,000 years ago, and a skull found at Goyet Cave in Belgium, dated to roughly 36,000 years old, already shows features shifting away from a wild wolf. This wasn't training. This was evolution rewarding calmness, generation after generation, until a new relationship existed at the edge of every camp. But tolerating a wolf near the fire is one thing. Trusting it with your survival is another. Even with fire in numbers, hunters kept losing the prey that mattered most. Wounded animals that got away. Fast game that simply outran a party on foot. This is where the wolves-turned-dogs earned their keep, tracking the scent for miles, running down wounded prey and holding it until hunters caught up. Studies of hunter-gatherers today, who hunt with dogs versus without, show success rates jumping dramatically, in some recorded cases, more than doubling. A partnership that started as tolerated scavenging had just become a hunting weapon. But solving the daytime hunt didn't solve the deadliest part of the day, the night. Ice Age cold could kill through hypothermia in hours, and fires always burned out eventually. Dogs run a few degrees warmer than humans and slept pressed against them, for the same reason humans huddled against each other. Shared body heat. That's not folklore, it's survival math. And it's exactly where the old phrase, a 3-dog night, comes from. A night so cold you needed 3 dogs against your body just to see sunrise. Even a warm night wasn't automatically a safe one. Rival groups, hyenas, and other predators could still close in on a sleeping camp in near total silence. But a dog's senses never fully switched off. Hearing roughly 4 times sharper than a human's, smell tens of thousands of times stronger, meant a threat no human would notice got flagged the moment it got close. A camp with dogs wasn't defenseless anymore. It had a perimeter alarm that never clocked out, and as groups grew, they needed to move, following herds, escaping depleted land, pushing into colder, harsher territory. On foot, carrying their own food and gear, there was a hard limit to how far a group could travel. Dogs became labor, hauling gear, and later pulling loaded sleds across terrain no human could cross carrying that same weight. It's a major reason researchers give for how humans pushed into brutal environments like Arctic Siberia, and eventually across into the Americas. Territory that would have been out of reach without an animal built to do the hauling a human body couldn't saw 'em out. And the pattern is bigger than any one advantage. A threat detector that worked in total darkness. A hunting partner that could catch what a human never could. A heating system that needed no fuel. Eventually, transportation that opened up entire continents. Together, that didn't just get people through one rough night. It changed the math of survival itself. More successful hunts meant steadier food. Steadier food meant fewer deaths. More children surviving, stronger groups. And this happened early, long before agriculture, long before permanent settlements. Before humans had domesticated a single plant, they'd already formed a working alliance with a predator. One of the reasons our species made it through the Ice Age at all. Dogs weren't pets. They were survival technology, thousands of years before anyone had a word for either. So would ancient humans have died without dogs? Not instantly, but the odds tilt hard against them. No early warning system in the dark. No way to run down prey that got away wounded. Nothing but a dying fire between them and hypothermia. No way to haul supplies into the hardest, coldest, most resource-scarce parts of the planet. Every one of those gaps got closed by an animal that started out as a rival for the same meat. The dog asleep at the end of your bed tonight is the direct descendant of that alliance. A partnership running well over 20,000 years, one that quite literally helped decide whether your ancestors made it through the winter.